is Sharon Peterson and welcome to Winter Sowing. So winter sowing is basically an alternative to starting seeds indoors, but it still gets you a head start on your garden. For those of you who like to get things going early, maybe you have a shorter growing season like I do. The whole concept is based around milk jugs or other types of jugs and creating like a little mini greenhouse. You cut the jug open, you put your dirt in here, put your seeds, close it up, and then you put this out in your garden. It's called winter sowing because this can be done anytime starting in the fall up through early spring. So I don't usually do it in the fall. There are those who do. This can be done in the middle of the winter when snow is flying outside. So these jugs will act as like a little mini greenhouse, protecting that seed. And what happens is the seed will sprout when that seed is ready. So you know how some different plants like different temperatures for germination, and so the temperature inside your jug is going to be warmer and more protected, like from the wind or anything like that, than it is outside in the atmosphere, obviously. So that seed will sprout, but then we got the greenhouse effect going on, and so it's going to be protected. It can sprout outside and it's not a problem. So that is the whole concept of winter sowing and why it's a good idea. This makes a really good alternative to starting seeds indoors, where you have to have a lot of equipment. You need shelving and you need lights, grow lights. You need a place that's warm for germination. You got to check them and water them every day. It's just a lot of work, which I do some of that still, and a lot of people just totally enjoy that, and that's great. But honestly, if I could just winter sow everything, I would skip the whole indoor thing. So let's talk about containers when you are going to winter sow. The easiest thing to use for your little mini greenhouse is a milk jug. That's what I almost 100% do. I won't say 100% because sometimes I've tried some other things, but this is what I come back to every time. And all you want to do is you want to take a milk jug, cut it like this so that you got a little place to plant your plants, leave a couple of inches here as like a little hinge, and then you also want to put holes in the bottom, which I didn't do yet, and I'm going to do it right now because otherwise I will forget. So I got my holes in the bottom, and you just want to put enough that you know it's going to drain well all the way around and all the sides. And then that's it. That's the easiest type of container to use. You could also use clear, like these I believe had cranberry juice. I don't remember what it was. These are a little bit heavier and they're sturdier, but I find them a little bit more difficult to cut. And so I don't like to use them just because it's a pain in the neck to get them cut. I don't know if my scissors were dull. I tried scissors and I tried a knife, both. The benefit with these is they're sturdy enough you probably could recycle them and use them for several years before you had to throw them away. Milk jugs, I generally just use them 1 year. You probably could get 2 years out of them, but we have so many milk jugs coming through, so we just repurpose that and reuse the milk jugs. Another thing you could use is I have heard of, and I haven't done it myself, I have heard of people using like those salad containers you can get at the grocery store, as long as it has a lid on it that has holes in the lid, because you do need some moisture to be able to get into your seeds. You don't need a lot, but some does need to get in there. And so those are some choices as far as what types of container to use. Anything that you use needs to either be clear, like this, or white, kind of an opaque white. Like this is pretty, it's white, but it's pretty clear. You can see through it. I don't know that you would want to use something that's a solid white, because you do kind of want some light to get in there. Once your seedlings start sprouting, they will need some of the sunlight. So that's the containers, super easy. Generally you can find them wherever. If you don't drink a lot of milk, just ask a couple neighbors to save some milk jugs for you. They might think you're crazy, but they might also think it's cool. So the next thing you need to do after you have your jugs cut, and don't forget to put your drain holes in the bottom, is you want to put your potting soil in your jug. I just fill it up. I put a good, several inches in there. You want to use potting soil. You don't want to use a seed starting mix. Now the difference between the two is a seed starting mix doesn't have any nutrition for the plant. It's just a medium for the seed to be in and to be kept moist so that it will sprout. But once it sprouts, you are going to need to, within a little, not too long, you need to go ahead and transplant that into potting soil. So put potting soil in your jugs because your plants are going to be in here for a little bit. They are going to grow for the first part of their life in this little mini greenhouse until the climate out here is ready for it. And that plant will actually, you know, depending on the type of plant you have, sometimes it kind of fills up the whole jug. Now you don't want to let it get too big, but it's big enough to where seed starting mix won't work. You need the potting soil because that seed has to have some, or that seedling has to have some nutrition in there. So put your potting soil in here. So after you get your jugs with dirt, I have 4 jugs that I'm working with here down on my bench. And what you want to do is you want to water that dirt. You want everything nice and moist to start with. Let me pour some water in each of these. I don't know, can you see how much I'm putting in there? You want that dirt to be good and moist. Water's going to come out the bottom of it when you do that. So be aware of that and have it, you know, don't do this on your kitchen table. It's going to make a mess. But you want that dirt nice and moist so that it starts with moisture already in the jug. And then your seeds. What are you going to plant in your jugs? Let me show you my seed stash. This is my seed stash. It's just a box of a mass of who knows what. I don't even know what's in there. What you want to plant is things that you can't just plant in seed out in the garden, or that would benefit from a head start. So for me, I do things like, well, let's see, like today I plan on doing some onion, I have some watermelon and some cantaloupe, I have some basil, I have a couple, let's see, 2 types of cucumbers, some zucchini, and then I have some nasturtiums that I saved from my garden last year. Now this is a mix of stuff that I've saved, stuff that I've purchased, but those are the types of things that I put in my jugs. I don't do tomatoes and peppers where I live. A lot of people do tomatoes and peppers and it works really well. My growing season is short enough that I really need those plants to have already started. Otherwise, it's just too late. They need a big head start in order to have time to get enough tomatoes off of them from my garden. And so I either start them in the house, let them get big in the house, or I go ahead and purchase them at a nursery. A lot of people can do it. It just depends on your climate. Some people say that anything can be done this way anywhere, and that's probably mostly true, but if you have a short climate, you'll know what I mean, that if there's just not enough season for that plant to grow big enough. So keep that in mind. I don't do things like lettuce. I suppose you could, but I always just seed my lettuce in the ground. In the ground stuff. Turnips I don't do, radishes I don't do. You know, parsnips, we love parsnips, but I don't do those in winter sowing. All of the other stuff. So all you're going to do is, here, let's do these. These are Armenian cucumbers, and I'm going to do 4 seeds. In my jug. Actually, I think I got 5. 4 or 5 seeds. Just barely press them under so that they're covered. They don't need to be very deep, because they're pretty protected in here. But, you know, go by whatever your seed packet says. Make sure it's all nice and covered. And then your next step is you're going to seal up that jug.